In the beginning, I didn't understand what was going on. Like most of us, I guess. Then, when all my concerts got cancelled one after the other, I started feeling a little nervous and doubtful about my future. Anyways, I had some projects going on and I still sat down with my viol to practice. But it was difficult to see the sense of it all. Slowly, I got used to the new situation. I got used to not traveling anymore, to being at home with my daughters, realizing that I had been with them too little in the recent years. And studying stopped being a task with a goal and became something else, almost a daily meditation, making me forget everything that wasn't about the music itself. There were all these streaming concerts going on, and I realized, as it was impossible to go out of the house and play with anybody else, that I hadn't actually prepared any program for solo viol. So I started reading lots of viol repertoire, but I didn't find anything that resonated with me. The Bach cello suites came to my mind. They are not easy repertoire for the viol, but the essence of the music is so extremely powerful that it felt like the only right choice at that moment. I started playing 2 of the suites, the 5th and the 6th. Now, after all this time, back to an almost normal life, I think about what has brought me here. I'm thinking about how sitting down to play his music every day managed to take me to another place mentally when it was physically impossible to go anywhere. How he really helped me to overcome the discouraging present and find a sense in music when there was no sense in anything anymore. Every musician has an emotional bind with his instrument. Over time, the player adapts to the instrument, and the instrument adapts to its player. Imagine if 2 people played the same instrument, over time, that same instrument would end up sounding really very different. It is a very special relationship. When I started this new project, I knew that it was necessary to use a different viol, because the repertoire requires a 7-stringed one, and mine had only 6 strings. It was not possible to play this music with my own instrument, a viol that is almost 100 years old and that had passed through different hands until it reached mine. This decision was very difficult, because I was really very much in love with my own viol, and I had already created this close relationship with her. I knew that I could rely on her, and the instrument was able to always respond with an open, beautiful, full and expressive sound. With my new viol, I wanted to start from a different point. And for some time already, I had talked to the luthier Robert Louis Baye. We discussed many times the construction and adjustment programs that this particular instrument, that is the viola da gamba, imposed to anybody. and how these problems could be solved. I knew very well which kind of sound I was looking for in that specific repertoire I was preparing. Saint-Colombe and the 2 Bach suites. Playing Bach on the Viola da Gamba is not the same as playing Abel or Marais. There is nothing idiomatic in his suites, because they are clearly composed for the cello, not for the viol. This made me think that the viol must be built in a very specific way, to sound also in a very specific way. So, this new viol is really an experimental model, a new model that we have created to make this project a reality. My main obstacle is time. A new viol needs time to open up, and I don't know if I have that time, because I need to adjust to the dates for the recording of my new album. But such an intimate relationship is not built in a hurry. How can I make this very new instrument to give me the sound I'm looking for, without giving the instrument the time to open up, without having time to get used to her? Now, in Robert's workshop, I'm looking at his work, about to be finished, and although I know that this instrument is not mine yet, I tell myself that above all, I need to trust in her and in myself. I need to trust in the new sounds that we can create together. Doubts are always part of the illusion. With a feeling that this music that I'm interested in may also interest the public, I begin to compare myself with other performers, and I wonder if there is someone who will be really interested in what I'm doing. It is so easy to let myself be carried away by the doubts, and I'm trying hard to maintain the illusion. Therefore, I need a clear mind. Routine is essential. 2 hours a day at least, better in the morning. The first moments of the day are ideal for working on intonation and sound, because the ear is still clean and empty. I need the maximum concentration possible. Bach is demanding, technically very difficult, and adapting his suites to the Viola da Gamba makes his demand even greater. I get frustrated very often, and I get very often to a point where I don't feel able to own the score, to feel that the music has really become mine. But I also try in these moments to remind myself that I've been through this before, that many other times in the past I saw myself in the same situation and managed to overcome it and learn from it. At some point, the insecurity disappears. The judgment dissolves. I begin to feel free, and the music becomes pure playing, pure inspiration. I forget about the technique, and my hands know for themselves the path they go and travel along the viol. From somewhere, my own words, my own vocabulary come out, and I feel like I can communicate. I don't choose when this happens. It simply happens after hours, after endless repetitions, after endless effort. And then, in that same luminous moment, everything makes sense. My daughters don't really understand why I have to travel. They want to spend as much time as possible with their parents, as every child wants. Sometimes they get angry and sad, and that is very hard for me. But at the same time, I know that for them, living surrounded by music is a great gift. They have often accompanied me in my rehearsals and on my travels, and have developed the ability to appreciate quite complex music. Sometimes, looking at them, I see myself as a child. My grandfather played the organ and the piano. He transmitted to me the love for music. My father, who plays the cello, encouraged all of us children to learn an instrument. And he didn't do it because he wanted us to be professional musicians, but because he thinks that music enriches our lives. There were some moments I had a hard time understanding that. Sometimes, while the other children went out to play, I had to stay home a little longer to practice. Today, I'm very grateful. It is true that I lost some hours of playing in the afternoon, but in return, I learned something essential in life: the discipline of continuity. Thanks to that discipline that my parents taught me, today I can dedicate myself professionally to music. And thanks to the love for music that my grandparents passed on to me, today I can continue enjoying it, like when I was a child. I owe both of them what I feel when I go on stage and start playing. At that moment, I feel that I disappear. It is no longer about myself. I am just here for the service of the music, and I know no fuller feeling than this. And somehow, it makes me feel like a child again, being able to imagine a whole different world around me. It is time to record and edit the music, to unite the sound worlds of Saint-Colombe and Bach into one through my instrument, the Viola da Gamba. I am working with Jody Hill, with whom I have recorded all my albums till now, and whose vision I value very much. I have often explained to my friends that the recording and editing process is not what they imagine. We do not sit down, record the pieces in one go, and then tweak a little here and there, and that is it. Recording is an extremely tiring process, in which you have to listen to yourself many times and try to have a clear and distant mind at all times in order to choose the good takes. In that time, you learn a lot about yourself. What you are really looking for is to get the sense and the message of the music right, even without the feedback from the public. Let Bach sound like you feel it should sound. And at a certain point you have to put a limit and stop recording and editing. Your mind will always tell you that there are things that can be perfected. This rhythm, that silence could be better. But at the same time, and I have this feeling every day more clearly, too much refinement and perfection, as we are used to hear in recordings, don't lead necessarily to a more powerful result musically. The most important value is to keep the sense of the music. That's what's really important. We musicians go through this whole process because we want this old music to have a voice in our days, to be present now, so that Saint-Colombe and Bach can continue to be heard over time. Every interpretation will be different, but it is the substance of the music, its profound meaning, that will remain intact as a treasure for the future generations. That is our true reward. What vision has the public of an artist? What does the public want to see in any artist, regardless of the discipline? With each creation that we launch into this world, we artists have to consider the image that we want to give of ourselves in relation to that specific creation. My recording company will present my work, my album, with a concrete image. Again, the same question. What does the public want to see in an artist? I have been through this process before, and now I have a clear idea for this recording. I would like to be recognizable in that specific image. Recognizable means that the difference between who I am on stage and who appears on the album cover or in any music magazine is as minimal as possible. For this album, I have been working with the photographer Laura Leon to create the promotional photographs. I had seen portraits of her work, and what I really liked was the fact that each one of them pointed out a very specific personality without looking for a perfect image of those portrayed. Classical musicians often appear as a perfect image on the cover photo, but creating a perfect image often gives the impression of distancy for us musicians, of someone far away, who is only accessible for a selected public. But the truth is that especially this music of Bach comes really very near to everybody's soul. It speaks to the human soul in general, to any human with an open ear and an open mind. Like nature itself, in its most essential and pure form, it can be perceived in its infinite beauty by any of us. Music is always a form of communication. And for me, there's something special in communicating with the public live. Suddenly, a beautiful sense of vulnerability appears. The feeling of being in the hands of factors that may be beyond our control. Every time I play in a space for an audience, I have to be flexible, adapt to its acoustics, its temperature, its humidity. All of these factors make the experience of shared live music genuine and authentic. So, I like to spend some time beforehand in the space where I'm going to play. Finding the right place on stage with the best sound quality, the place where I can connect with the audience in the best way, is really fundamental. Anyways, good acoustics are not the only important thing. There are some spaces, churches or concert halls, that magically provide you with the necessary energy, atmosphere, and intimacy, so that the musical experience is enveloping. Today I'm going to present my album for the first time in this space. Here, and having my album released finally, I close a cycle that began 2 years ago during the pandemic, with a personal and professional crisis that led me to ask myself in which direction I want to continue with my music. Now I feel calm and fulfilled. And at this point of my journey, I once again recognize the enormous value of just the music itself, in its most profound way, which has been with me in my worst moments, giving me company and comfort. there is any message that I would like to transmit with my album, perhaps that is it. That the music is yours, and whatever the circumstances are, it is here for you when you need it.